There was a time when sleep came easily. You'd lie down, and before you knew it, morning arrived. No counting sheep, no melatonin, no ambient music or dimmed nightlights. Just a long day, tired legs, and sleep would find you like an old friend. But as the years passed and the pages of life turned one after another, nights stopped being so simple. Sleep became more elusive. Sometimes it was peaceful, yes, but many nights were filled with restlessness too. You lie there, the soft glow of the clock ticking beside you, and wonder, why am I still awake? I've been tired all day. But your eyes remain open, your thoughts keep racing, and even the smallest worry can start to feel like a mountain in the stillness of the night. After 50, the body begins speaking its own language. Hormonal changes, shifts in your internal clock, emotional transitions, physical discomforts, they all play a role in why sleep doesn't come as naturally anymore. But that doesn't mean you're doomed to sleepless nights forever. In fact, this stage of life offers something beautiful, the chance to truly understand that sleep isn't just a physical need, it's an art, a ritual, a way to come home to yourself after a day lived outward. And like any good ritual, it asks for intention, respect, and small mindful habits to keep it sacred. Have you noticed that as we grow older, it's often the simplest things that become the most precious? A warm cup of tea, a soft chair near the window, a gentle tune at dusk. Sleep is no different. It doesn't ask for much, but it does ask to be treated with care. I once met a woman in her 70s who had been living alone since her husband passed. She told me those first nights were the hardest. I couldn't sleep, the house felt too quiet. But then I stopped fighting the night and started flowing with it. I lit a small candle. I wrote in my journal. I said thank you for the day. And little by little, sleep came back. Her story isn't unique, but it's powerful. It reminds us that sleep can return not through force, but through kindness, and that even in our later years, we can create space for it with nothing more than understanding, patience, and a few gentle habits that carry surprising power. That's what this video is here to share, simple habits that can make a real difference for anyone struggling with sleep after 50. Not through pressure or perfection, but through soft, consistent care that guides the mind and body back to rest like a stream flowing naturally toward the sea. If you've ever sighed at 200 a.m., if you've ever stared at the ceiling while the wind rustled the windows, wondering when peace would return, this message is for you, not to offer some magic trick, but to help you remember something deep and real. Sleep is not lost. It can be reclaimed. We'll walk through this together in 4 parts. Each section will open a new door to deeper understanding, to healing rhythms, to daily choices that slowly restore balance. And the most important truth is this: everything you need is already inside you. All we have to do is wake it up. So let me ask you one question as we begin. How would it feel to wake up each morning with clarity, energy, and peace in your heart? That feeling, that quiet longing, is where your journey begins. And once you start, you'll find you're not alone. You'll be guided step by step, not with force, but with warmth, like sunlight streaming into a room that's been closed off for far too long. Perhaps the most important thing we must relearn after turning 50 isn't how to sleep, it's how to prepare ourselves to be slept. Because sleep, like a dear friend, doesn't arrive just because we demand it. It comes when the inner house has been tidied, when the noise has softened, when the body feels safe, warm, and gently invited to let go. In today's world, even those who are retired can still feel swept away by noise and chaos. The TV hums late into the night, phones glow beside the bed, the mind runs through headlines, memories, to-do lists, and silent regrets. We've forgotten that the evening is not what's left over from the day. It's the most important time to heal and prepare for the next one. When we learn to reshape the final hours of the day with care, we create the space for sleep to return, not through the back door, but through the front entrance. Like a beloved guest we've prepared a place for. Let's begin with the simplest shift: light. Light is the strongest signal your body uses to distinguish between day and night. After 50, melatonin, the hormone that helps us feel sleepy, naturally declines. If you're exposed to bright lights, especially LED bulbs or screens after 8 p.m., your body may still believe it's daytime and delay producing melatonin. The result, you feel tired, but your mind stays alert. One gentle solution is to dim the lights around 7:30 or 800 p.m. Replace bright white bulbs with warmer, softer light. Use bedside lamps or flameless candles for a more peaceful glow. These aren't just aesthetic choices. They send a biological signal that the day is winding down. They help your body shift into stillness step by step. Next, consider your breath. After a full day of speaking, moving, and thinking, many of us forget that our breath is the thread that ties us back to peace. Set aside just 5 to 10 minutes in the evening to sit quietly and observe your breath. You don't need fancy techniques. Just notice, is your breath shallow or deep, fast or slow? When your mind drifts gently, bring it back. Over time, this small practice becomes a bridge from tension to calm, from the outer world back to your inner self. Some people meditate before bed, others journal. Some simply sit by the window, gaze into the night, and whisper a quiet thank you. You don't have to follow anyone's exact steps. Just choose a small ritual that makes your heart feel safe. That ritual becomes a gentle gateway, helping you cross from alertness into surrender. And then let's talk about sound. As we age, our nervous systems can become more sensitive to noise. A tiny creak in the floor or distant traffic can feel overwhelming late at night. Sometimes it's not the sound itself, but the mental noise we carry from the day. Soft music can help. Natural sounds like a gentle stream, distant thunder, or even the steady fall of rain can soothe the mind. A quiet instrumental playlist at low volume may act as a protective soundscape, separating you from the chaos of the day and guiding your brain towards stillness. If you've ever slept better during a rainstorm, you already know how powerful nature's sounds can be. Now, consider scent. Our brains respond deeply to aroma, especially in the evening. Essential oils like lavender, jasmine, or sandalwood are known to calm the nervous system. They don't just smell nice, they become signals. With repeated use, your brain begins to associate those scents with slowing down and falling asleep. It becomes a gentle sensory reminder. It's safe to let go now. Lastly, let's return to the most subtle but most powerful part of your evening, your thoughts. If your last hour is filled with negative news, scrolling endlessly, or watching stimulating content, even if the lights are off, your mind is still wide awake. Instead, try this for just 7 nights before going to bed. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. No matter how small, maybe it's a good meal, a phone call with a loved one, or simply not feeling the back pain you had yesterday. Gratitude isn't just a nice idea, it's a neurological reset. It shifts your focus away from lack or fear and returns you to fullness, to enoughness. That's the emotional soil where sleep grows. And here's the beautiful truth. Those quiet moments when the light is low, your breath is deep, your thoughts have softened, are when the body begins to remember how to rest like it once did. When you stop treating sleep like a task and start treating it like a friend, it stops resisting you. When your evenings become gentle rituals instead of routine chores, your mind will no longer fight sleep. It will welcome it. When your body feels respected, loved, and safe, it stops guarding and starts releasing. And so instead of falling into sleep with frustration, you'll begin to flow into it with trust. Like a short journey back to the place you've always belonged, a quiet home within yourself where the world fades and only peace remains. Sleep doesn't begin when the lights go out, it begins the moment you open your eyes in the morning. It sounds like a paradox, but the older we get, the more we realize the more fulfilled our days feel, the more easily our nights unfold. Our internal rhythm, emotional state, and physical activity all quietly build the foundation for a good night's sleep. So if your nights are restless, it's time to turn toward the light of day, because that's where the story begins. Human beings were designed to live in sync with the sun, but modern life has pulled us away from that natural rhythm. After age 50, the body's internal clock becomes more sensitive, and not getting enough natural daylight can confuse your brain. It no longer knows when it's time to be alert and when to wind down. One of the simplest yet most powerful things you can do for your sleep is to get outside in the morning just for 10 to 20 minutes. You don't need to power walk or jog. Just step out onto the porch, walk around your yard, or stand by an open window and let real light, not screens, touch your eyes. That morning light tells your brain, this is the beginning, and when the day begins right, the night ends gently. You may begin to notice a difference in just a week, feeling more mentally clear in the morning and naturally sleepier earlier in the evening without needing to force it. Then there's the gift of movement, or more precisely, mindful movement. The human body was never meant to be still all day. It was built to move not in a race, but in a rhythm. After 50, movement is no longer about chasing goals or numbers. It's a way to honor your body, to thank your legs, your shoulders, your breath for carrying you. A slow walk through the neighborhood, gentle stretching in the afternoon, gardening, cleaning windows, or simply dancing softly to your favorite tune in the living room. These movements don't just boost circulation and release energy. They free the tension you've been carrying inside. As your body moves regularly, it begins to clearly distinguish day from night. And this natural contrast, activity by day, rest by night, is what helps sleep return on its own. Beyond light and movement, there's another invisible force just as powerful: your mood. Have you noticed that anxious, heavy days tend to turn into sleepless nights, and that the calmest, most peaceful days often lead to the deepest sleep? Your emotional tone throughout the day is like background music. It plays silently, but sets the atmosphere, echoing into the night. So, if you can create even a few moments of calm during your day, even just 5 minutes of quiet tea or 10 minutes of walking without your phone, your mind will remember that peace when it's time to rest. It won't search for stillness in the dark because it already tasted it in the light. I once spoke with a 68-year-old man who shared a habit he'd picked up in retirement. Each day he wrote one line by hand: "What can I let go of today?" It could be something simple, skipping a debate, saying no to an obligation, or calling one of his children he hadn't spoken to in a while. They were small choices, but they realigned his focus. By releasing tiny weights during the day, he no longer brought heaviness into the night. Sleep came easier because he arrived at bedtime with open hands instead of a full, restless mind. And then we must talk about food, something that affects sleep more than we often realize. After 50, digestion slows down. Eating late dinners or heavy meals means your stomach stays busy when it should be winding down. The body is tired but too active to rest, and the mind wants sleep but can't settle. You don't need to change your entire diet, just make a few thoughtful shifts. Try to eat dinner earlier, around 6 p.m. Keep it light and simple. A warm soup, steamed vegetables, a bit of protein from fish or beans. Limit sugar and caffeine after 2 p.m. And if possible, end the day with a cup of herbal tea, chamomile, or mint work beautifully. These small shifts tell your body it's time to slow down now. And here's a surprising but deeply important part of daytime preparation for sleep: living with meaning. The best nights of sleep often follow days that felt worthwhile, whether it was helping someone, completing a task, or simply staying true to what you value. Purpose quiets the mind. It doesn't leave you lying in the dark asking, "What am I doing with my life?" because your actions answered that question earlier in the day. So if your days have started to blend together, find a reason to wake up. It doesn't need to be big. It could be tending to a plant, learning something new, or reconnecting with an old friend. Every meaningful moment is a spiritual anchor. It keeps you grounded, so when night falls, you don't float in anxiety, you drift in contentment. When you begin to live your days with light, movement, calm nourishment, and intention, sleep stops being a problem to fix. It becomes a natural result, a gift, a closing note to a well-played song. And slowly, sleep stops being a stranger you have to beg. It becomes a child again, one that only needed the right environment to come home. And now, as we've walked together through each part of this journey, from learning how to gently close the evening to embracing our days with presence and fullness, perhaps the most profound realization isn't just about how to sleep better. It's about how to live lighter. Because when you live lightly, sleep comes naturally. No longer something to chase, no longer a constant worry. It returns like a familiar bird finding its way back to an old rooftop, not because it was summoned, but because the window was left open with quiet welcome. You see, sleep is the most natural state of being, like leaves falling, the sun setting, or a quiet breath rising and falling. The issue isn't with sleep itself, it's with what blocks it: a cluttered mind, a tired body that never unwinds, a full life that lacks simplicity. After 50, you no longer need to follow anyone's expectations. You don't have to prove anything. This is the age where you're allowed fully, gently, and deeply to return to yourself. A good night's sleep isn't just a reward for the body. It's a message that says you are living in tune with your natural rhythm. And to reach that place, you've learned to reframe the light in your life from your room to your thoughts and feelings. Sit with your breath, simple yet deeply tender. Listen to the wind and your inner voice instead of just the noise of the world. Rediscover joy in little things: an early meal, a slow walk, a hastily written thank you. And, above all, you've learned to care for your sleep, not through pressure, but through kindness. They say a good day starts with a good night's sleep, but the opposite is just as true. A peaceful night is the result of a kind day. Kind to yourself, kind to your pace, kind to the process of aging, not as a loss, but as a gift. Because, aging doesn't take life away. It takes away the rush and gives you back subtlety, depth, freedom from comparison, a space where you no longer need to be like someone, but can simply be yourself enough and beautiful in your own quiet rhythm. Sleep, like life after 50, is a return to the essential, to the quiet within, to the soft light of dawn, to dreams that are no longer chaotic, but gentle, clear like spring water at the source. You've traveled far. Now it's time to pause for a while, not to stop living, but to live more deeply, not to give up, but to choose again, not to trade in, but to restore. And sleep is one of the most powerful forms of restoration you can offer yourself every night. Remember, you don't need to be perfect, just honest. You don't have to follow every piece of advice. Just begin with one small step, one habit, one shift, one moment of stillness. Let that be the seed, and every night water it with patience and care. There may still be nights you can't sleep. There may be days when fatigue lingers. That's okay. Healing is never a straight line, but what matters is you're facing the right direction. Deep sleep doesn't come from control, but from release. It arrives when you stop struggling with yourself, when you no longer blame your body for slowing down, when you see aging not as a retreat, but as an invitation to live more deeply than ever before. And if there's one thing I hope you carry with you, it's this: you deserve restful sleep, not because you've worked hard, not because you've been good, but simply because you are human, still feeling, still loving, still dreaming, still hoping. When this video ends, you may return to your usual routine, but I hope something inside you has softened, that a quiet corner of your heart has settled, and that you'll begin to care for yourself, not out of obligation, but as an act of love. You might light a candle, write a few words of gratitude, or simply go to bed 30 minutes earlier. Whatever you choose to do, let it be with the mindset of someone ready to live more gently. And if what you've just heard has touched something within you, leave a comment below. Write 1, if you're ready to begin again with sleep, or 0, if you're still on your path to finding yourself. There's no right or wrong answer, only shared journeys, and I am honored to be part of yours. Thank you for your time, for listening, for still wanting to live each night as if it were the first, sleeping well, dreaming kindly, and waking up with a lighter heart. Wishing you a peaceful night's sleep tonight and every night after.